Thank you for the opportunity to present consumer health trends at the GSCF webinar in Africa. My name is Amit Shukla. A quick introduction on me. I am the Vice President for Global Consumer Health Consulting Services, based out of New Jersey, US, but having a global remit. I come with over 2 decades of industry experience with GSK, Novartis, Procter & Gamble, and for the last 2 years, been working with pharmaceutical, consumer health, and CPG clients in helping them extract maximum value from their assets and adopt new technology and solutions to make their operations more productive and efficient. So today, before I talk about consumer health trends in Africa and how e-commerce is helping the business there, let's quickly revisit what IQVIA Consumer Health does. So IQVIA Consumer Health is the only business unit of its type globally for any consulting or analytics firm, which is focused and dedicated to consumer health. So everybody who works on the team has consumer health experience and consumer health knowledge. We work right from concept and strategy development through the entire life cycle of your product, through product and claim, registration, launch planning, and even commercial excellence for products and portfolio that are in market. Let's go and see how is the global and Africa OTC market looking today. So globally, the OTC market has fully recovered from the COVID impact. As you can see, 2019 was 4.7% growth. 2020 was 3.8% growth. It dipped a little bit, not as much as pharma dipped, but then quickly it recovered back almost 2x in the last 12 months. Pretty much of that growth has come as the reopening of the economy has happened, social distancing restrictions have gone away, and that's typically happened in Q3 and Q4 of last year, starting in Q3 of last year. When you look at Africa in this context, so remember 7.3% for global, Africa is doing much better. You can see in Africa, even in 2020, we did not see a drop because of COVID, because economies kept open, people still need consumer health products, and that momentum has also been continuing into 2022. But 2021 ended on a fabulous double-digit 10.7% growth. When you look at Africa by category, vitamins and supplements is the largest category, followed by cough, cold, followed by pain relief. Logically so, these are the most important categories that people need in the consumer health OTC segment. When you look at the growth on the right side, how that 10.3 breaks down, you can very clearly see that cough, cold, and pain have had a very good run over the last 12 months. The other categories are not also far behind, and we'll share some examples today of how people are activating e-commerce in the digestive market. When you look at Africa countries, you can very clearly see that several countries are doing very well and growing faster than the overall Africa growth. Egypt, for example, at 8%, it's not a bad 8% because Egypt is a big market. South Africa is growing at 12% plus, and French West Africa is almost reaching 20%. So very good performance across all regions. Algeria has its own issues because it doesn't have a very well-defined consumer health platform and regulatory structure, but it's getting there. When you look at the top corporations in Africa, you can see very clearly very familiar names, and about 5 of them out of the top 10 are beating the market. The top 2, Sanofi and Ad-Hoc Ingram, they both are doing very well. GSK is a little bit behind, but they are having their own issues in terms of transitioning to a separate company for consumer health. Aspen is slightly behind. I wouldn't say they're way far behind, but Cipla is doing really well at 12% plus. And then when you go down, you can see in the 9th and 10th position are Bayer and Novartis, both of them doing exceedingly well. If we move on and see some of the key trends in consumer health, and these are global trends, but we'll touch on one trend today for Africa in this webinar. So in the top 7 trends, if I start on the top left, you can very clearly see that innovation is coming back. Every company in every category that they play in are starting to bring new innovative products and launching them in the market. Reason being that for last 2 years, innovations were very slow. Companies were focused on making sure their supply chain was efficient enough to bring existing products on the shelf. You know the challenges with raw materials and everything across the world. But now they're reconnecting and strengthening their relationship with the consumers and shoppers with new innovation as the economy opens up. E-commerce is no longer a hobby. It is a critical channel to win in consumer health. And we'll talk about this in more detail as we move along. We're also seeing some other trends here. I'll pick on a couple of them. Connected consumer. So the consumer across the world, and you'll see it in Africa as well, is absolutely tech savvy, digitally adaptive, and is really looking to continue his relationship that got strengthened during COVID, even past COVID as well. The global healthcare e-commerce market, so just healthcare, is growing rapidly. It is already in 2018 was 156 billion, is slated to grow by 2025 to almost 3x times that. So almost 430 billion. When you see how that's going to split out across the world, no surprises, North America would be the largest chunk, followed by Asia Pacific and Europe. But Africa, Middle East is not far behind. There's significant potential from a smaller base in the African markets. And when you see in terms of global online shopping preferences, you can very clearly see health and beauty is a top 5 category for e-commerce. So a lot of things going in favor of consumer health, overall healthcare in terms of moving forward with e-commerce. When you look at the different business models that are in play in e-commerce, you are seeing the independent pharmacies and the chains in the middle, but now we're starting to see wholesalers and e-pharmacies also interact. So e-pharmacies didn't exist till about 5 years ago. So these are basically pharmacies that ship on the internet. They could be part of a wholesaler, they could be part of an independent pharmacy or chain, or they could be just a standalone pure play e-pharmacy. And these are constantly starting to interact with each other, and consumers are not differentiating where they buy from. So what we call the OMO experience is happening, which is offline merging with online. When we look at the data for e-pharmacies and how much of consumer health is being sold through e-channels, we are seeing that about 5 to 10% of the global OTC market is now in e-channels. If you look at it by market, some markets more than others. So you can see in US, almost 23% of the market is now through e-channels. Germany, 22%. Most others are in single digits. But this is where the future lies. You would see, at least in each of your markets in Africa, at least about double digits, low double digits by 2025. When you look at the growth of the green bars, which is the e-pharmacy bars, they're going dramatically faster than the retail pharmacies. So retail pharmacies typically growing at about 2 to 4%, whereas the e-pharmacy channel, though on a small base, absolutely I acknowledge, is growing at about 20, 30%. When you look forward at the global regulatory environment around e-pharmacies, we're starting to see a very patchy picture. So some countries allow, as you can see in blue, both prescription and non-prescription medicines to be retailed through e-channels. Then you have some countries where only non-prescription or OTC products can be retailed. And also there are other products where there's a lot more restrictions and only VMS can be sold through e-channel. But COVID changed a lot of that. So during COVID, we couldn't go to physical pharmacies. In that situation, the governments relaxed the rules for ordering on the internet, picking up from a store, or even getting delivered at your home. So these are very positive changes for OTC and e-commerce, which we don't think will be reversed or go back to the past in 2019. If we look at the Africa e-commerce trends, again, a very positive picture, as I shared with you in the consumer health growth. So Africa e-commerce overall is growing at about 40% for the last 5 years. So a plus 40% growth, Smaller base, but really a fabulous growth. Is expected to reach about 75 billion through e-channels by 2025. And this is not for just consumer health. It is overall across health and beauty categories. And you're also seeing penetration go up. So Africa has seen almost a 50% internet penetration, which is much lower than 90 plus in Europe or about 80 plus in North America. We are also seeing smartphone penetration being significantly high, and the number of internet users, just because of the size of the population in Africa, is a very positive trajectory. We're also seeing a lot of key players have come in. I mean, Jumia, Congo, Loot, they're all coming in. They're starting with CPG categories and with other home categories, and then eventually getting into consumer health. When we look at a case study from Africa, so this is the one I have from Gaviscon. So Gaviscon is somebody who has seen this trend, and Reckitt Benckiser is the parent company of Gaviscon brand. It's a very strong brand in digestive category in not just Nigeria, but several parts of Africa. And you can see here, they activated this campaign called Go Enjoy. And during Christmas, because we know that during Christmas, we eat a lot and we consume a lot. And those are the chances where you could get upset stomach or poor digestion. And they activated this not just on traditional media, but also online as well. And the responses were fabulous. They were able to get over 5 million users to connect and interact with the product. They were able to increase the awareness of the brand almost 5 times. And overall, they generated much more sales as well, and their share went up. We also look at similarly in the same way in digestive, some other products and categories. You can see Movicol and Eno also in South Africa, really unleashing new campaigns, both online as well as offline. And with these campaigns, they've been able to strengthen their position as well in the category, but also bring more sales as well. And social media is something that most consumer health companies are warming up to and really investing behind. Now, when they invest in social media, they don't do just in social media. They also activate the same campaign in the retail environment as well. They give promotions to the pharmacists as well. They give promotions on shelf to chains, and they link these campaigns with maybe promotional offers that go out every week from the retailers. And make sure that their stock is there in the shelf as well, and with the pharmacists to be able to meet this increased demand. So in summary, we are very excited about the global OTC market. We expect this market to dip a little bit in 2022 after a robust growth in 2021. Also, the current situation that's going on, unfortunately, in Ukraine and Russia. So that will have an impact. In 2022, global OTC will be down to 5.5, but then it continues to pick back up and grows at above 5.5 to 6% for the next 4 years. And that's very positive, because when you look at the global pharma category, that's slated to grow at only about 4%. When you look at how that's going to split between e-channels and physical retail, you can see in the pie chart below that this 6% growth will still see a stronger growth for online channel. So online will grow e-commerce at about 14 to 15%, and the physical retail will grow at about 6%. When we move forward, you'll be able to see that South Africa, so this is one country where we forecast and could be a good proxy for overall Africa. We expect South Africa to grow at about 8% over the next 4 years. And when you look at this growth from 2022 to 2025, across categories, you see strong growth across most categories. So that 8% is matched by extremely good growth in VMS of 8.1%, extremely good growth overall in cough, cold, and respiratory of 7%. So in that situation, all categories are going to contribute to a robust growth in South Africa. And when I look at South Africa, and you know several leaders on this call as well, we've all worked in Africa for years. When you see Egypt or South Africa or Nigeria or Kenya tracking in a particular direction, you know pretty much the overall continent also moves in the same line. So that's all from me. That was my section in terms of sharing with you some global trends, some e-commerce trends, and how Africa is doing very well in terms of catching up with global trends and has a bright future ahead for consumer health. Thank you.